Hello, welcome to Creepies. How may I serve you this evening?
Hello there, friends. Welcome to another edition of Scary Stories. This is the series in which we relive and retell some of the spooky encounters all of you have gone through. As you might have guessed from the title of today's video, we're going over some scary fast food stories. These stories come from people who work in fast food, as well as those who have had encounters at fast food places. So make sure to grab your favorite snacks, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Let's begin with our first story, Subway Mania. To preface this story, I'll give you some information. I was 26 years old, I'm female, and this occurred roughly 12 years ago. I was working at a small Subway outside of Portland, Oregon. In my time working there, I never really experienced something where I could say my life was in danger. That would change after a series of creepy events. Let's get started. It was a random Wednesday evening around 9:30 p.m. I was in the process of closing shop at 10 p.m., as per usual. Normally our shop is pretty slow, and on the weekdays it was very rare to see anybody enter after 9. That's why I was surprised to see a customer walk in, and he immediately smiles and he waves. I was kind of annoyed seeing as I was tired, but I had to serve him anyways. He wants a tuna sandwich and I go through the process of making it. However, for some reason my senses were alerting me about something really weird. I don't know, I just couldn't shake off this feeling of absolute dread. Well, while waiting for his sandwich to warm up in the little oven, I couldn't help but notice his eyes. It's like he was scanning me up and down, and drooling. It was pretty uncomfortable. After 15 seconds, he starts wanting to know things about me. He starts with questions of how long I'd been working there, if I liked it, and where I was from, etc. I gave him some pretty basic answers, hoping he would leave me alone, but then the obvious question came.
By the way, sweetheart, are you seeing someone right now?
Sweetheart? Just writing that out, it gives me the chills. It's just the way he said it. Anyways, truth was, I wasn't seeing anyone. That was a big mistake, because I pretty much gave him a hope and responded by saying I was single.
Well, is that so? That's really good to know. By the way, maybe you'd like to go out someday?
Thanks for the compliment, buddy, but I had enough talking, and I sure wasn't going to go out with anyone. I tell him I needed to finish closing, and he pays for his sandwich, and then he leaves. But even after he was gone, I couldn't help but feel he might be waiting outside. That's why I was very cautious while closing, so I made sure to hold onto the pepper spray I keep on my person very tightly. Once I'm at the car, I noticed there was a little note on the windshield, and when I open it, it simply says, "Call me, sweetheart," and it has a phone number. I already knew it was this guy, so I crumple it up and throw it in the trash. Fast forward a week, and I'd pretty much forgotten about him. I'm once again closing, but this time I have my coworker and friend Austin. Austin was the type of guy you didn't want to mess with. He used to be in the army, and he would go out of his way to defend his friends. That's going to play an important part. Like I mentioned, there I am with my coworker Austin, and he's in the back cleaning up. I'm in the front grabbing the trash from the trash bins, and after collecting everything, I head out through the front door to head to the side of the building, so I could put it in the dumpster. Here's where things would go wrong. While I have my back turned, I feel a hand on my shoulder. Chills went up and down my back, and I assumed it was Austin trying to scare me. Instead, I'm face to face with a not-so-welcome individual. Remember Mr. McCreepster from last week? Well, he was now holding me in an embrace, and he wasn't letting go. I remember the scary words he whispered into my ears while he covered my mouth.
Don't you dare move or make any sudden movements. I promise. You're going to be fine.
He then reaches for something in his side pocket, and he loosens his grip just enough for me to kick him in his lower half. You know what I'm talking about. He steps back out of breath as a knife falls to the ground. Seeing that, I book it, and I head into the store, where Austin is stepping out of the back room with a look of confusion. While explaining what was happening, the creep runs into the store, knife in hand, and that's when something snaps in Austin. With the little details I'd given him and the expression on my face, he knew something was wrong. Austin jumps into action as the man comes charging at him. Austin is then able to wrestle the knife out from his grasp, and he pretty much suplexes him onto the floor while he has him in a hold. It's now I call for police, and they show up about 10 or so minutes later. After what seemed like an eternity, the man is arrested, and I filed a restraining order on the dude. So, that's my story, and I leave you with this. If someone tells you no, then it's a no. Don't come after them with a knife, because that's going to get you into some serious trouble. Story number 2, Parking Lot Creep. This actually happened pretty recently, a month ago to be exact. Only reason I'm writing this is because I thought it would be pretty cool for the creepy fox to narrate it. Huge fan, by the way. So I'd gotten off of work pretty late, around midnight, and I was pretty hungry. So as I made the 45-minute drive back to my apartment on the freeway, I passed by various fast food restaurants, wondering which one sounded like the best. Eventually I settled for In-N-Out, and I soon exit the freeway. It didn't take too long to get there, and as I arrived, I noticed there was pretty much no one in line. Anyone who knows In-N-Out knows that it's always busy there. So for it to be practically empty meant I would be, pardon the pun, in and out in just a few minutes.
Good evening. Welcome to In-N-Out. What can I get you this evening?
The girl on the other end says. I tell her, "Hi, good evening. Can you give me a few seconds so I can decide what I want?" She tells me to take all the time I need, and I spend the next 30 or so seconds coming up with my perfect combo. While thinking, however, I hear a knock at my passenger side window, and I kid you not, I actually jump a bit.
Hey, do you have some spare change I could have?
It was a homeless man. I respond by telling him I had no cash, and he just walks away with a look of anger. Okay, I'm ready now. Can I go ahead and get a number 1 with a vanilla shake? I make the order and pull up to grab my food a couple of minutes later. Once I have it in hand, I drive over to the parking lot and I start eating my food. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I was not going to wait 20 minutes and have my food get cold. So there I was listening to some K-Earth 101 with the windows down, and I'm enjoying a nice warm hamburger after this long day. Seeing as I was distracted, I hadn't noticed that someone had come up to my car and was staring directly at me. The only reason I noticed him was because one of my french fries had fallen on the passenger seat. When I slowly move my face up, my eyes connect with the homeless man I'd seen a few minutes prior. I froze because he was holding a knife, and seeing this reaction, he wastes no time reaching into my car and going for the door lock. Bear in mind, the window was halfway down, and my car was off, since I didn't want to waste my car battery. This creep was on a mission, and he was going to make sure he accomplished it by getting in. Those next moments passed in slow motion. I can't even begin to describe the feeling of absolute fear I had. I finally snap out of it, reaching to my empty cup holder and grabbing my pepper spray. He then is able to successfully make his way in, but I surprise him with the spray. The knife falls on my passenger seat as he now reaches for his face, trying to wipe away the pepper spray. This, however, wasn't enough to stop him, because he continues to flail his arms around, trying to grab me. I'll tell you, the absolute determination of this madman. Luckily, I'm able to see a couple walking back to their car, and I run over trying to get their help. Now, in case you're wondering why I didn't just try to drive away, it was because this dude was huge. I am pretty small. I'm 22 years old, female, and there was no chance I was just going to push him out while he's trying to grab a hold of me. Anyways, you should have seen the reaction of this couple as I tried to explain what was happening. All the while there was this lunatic screaming and going crazy. Who I assumed was the husband runs over to my car while I stay with a young woman who we call police. The creep did try to run away, but this kind gentleman was able to subdue him long enough for officers to arrive. When all was said and done, and after a lengthy talk, I get my name cleared, and Mr. Creepo is arrested. I later learned the guy was intoxicated, which explained why he acted the way he did. Next time, I think I'll just warm my food up in the microwave. Story number 3. Drive-thru mishaps. I've been working at Taco Bell for about 3 months, and while I sometimes get the weirdos that stare at me, nothing really seemed to escalate. After all, it seemed I wasn't the only one to have to deal with these so-called secret admirers. Not that I would call them that, but you get the basic structure. However, even though I mentioned this a few weeks ago, I did have one encounter that has left me a bit uncomfortable. Not because of the things he did, but not knowing whether or not he would show up. Let's begin. There I was at 1:30 a.m., half an hour before closing. I work in the drive-thru window, and most of the people who showed up that late in the evening were either college students and people who worked in the evenings. So all is quiet until eventually I look into the camera, and I can see a Ford Fusion parked at the outside menu.
Hello, welcome to Taco Bell. How may I take your order?
I hear some grumbling, and thus I tell the person on the other end to speak up.
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch that. Could you go ahead and repeat what you just said?
They speak louder, and ended up ordering a couple of steak chalupas. I then tell them to pull up to the next window, where I would give them their order. So far, so good. Moments later, the Ford Fusion parks outside my window, and I can see a man in the driver's seat. He was older, around 50 years old, with gray hair, a beard, and glasses. He seriously looked like one of my college professors. Hi there. Could you just give us a second? We're getting your chalupas ready. While I told him these details, I couldn't help but get this really strange feeling. I'm not sure if it's just me, but anyone else get the chills when you know something's wrong? That's how I was feeling, and for good reason. While I stood there, he started a conversation with me. It more or less goes something like this.
How's your evening going, miss? Hope you're having a good night so far.
Yeah, it's been good. I'm just really tired. I can't wait to get home and get some rest.
Oh, is that so? What time do you get off at?
In a little while.
When is a little while? 20 minutes? An hour?
I really didn't feel like giving him proper answers, but he kept insisting. It was starting to get a bit uncomfortable, and I kept wondering what was taking the chalupas so long. Finally, after a minute, I'm able to give him his order, and I expect him to leave. However, he just sits there in his car, and he stares at me. Sorry, sir, but was there something wrong with your order?
No, nothing. But I was just wondering. You seem pretty nice. Perhaps you'd like to hang out after you're off of work. Maybe you need a ride home?
Just so you get one thing straight, I'm 19 years old, female, and this 50-something-year-old dude who could have easily been my dad kept insisting I spend time with him. I sure didn't want to, and my manager could tell something was off. He walks over to me, seeing me visibly shaking, and he takes over. Excuse me, sir, but is there something we can help you with?
I was just talking to my niece. I'm her uncle. We're just catching up.
The absolute nerve. Now he was pretending to be something he was not. My manager didn't fall for it, and he tells him he needs to leave, which he finally does. Honestly, that should have been it, but it was going to get worse. Fast forward about 45 minutes later, and it's time to go home. I can get in my car, and I can drive away. Oh, that's right. There's only one problem. I have no car. In fact, I took my bicycle to work. I really didn't mind this since I have a taser and my neighborhood is relatively safe, but considering the creep I talked to, I was a bit on the edge. Anyways, as soon as I get on my bicycle and begin riding away, I start to feel like I'm being followed. Sure enough, I stop for a brief moment and I take a look behind me. Same Ford Fusion from the drive-thru is following close. I knew it was him, so I started to pedal faster. It wasn't until I reached an intersection he ended up cutting me off, and then he said,
Hey, beautiful, do you need a ride back home? Or maybe you want to go back home with me?
I was so angry that I try pedaling past him, but he ends up almost hitting me, causing me to fall back. Then all of a sudden, he takes off. I was so scared and hurt, but luckily a nearby driver saw the action, and she drove up to me wanting to know if I was okay. I told her I was, apart from a few scratches, and she then offers to call the police. She does, and she keeps me company until they arrive about 10 minutes later. Unfortunately, even with all the information I'd given, he is still out there. Maybe he thought it was better not to risk getting caught, or maybe he's just waiting for his opportunity. I'm not too sure, but you bet I'll keep you all in the loop, and I'll submit any updates as they come in. Thanks for hearing me out. Story number 4. Almost taken in the play place. McDonald's. A place with happy meals, happy smiles, and happy times. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything could go wrong. One moment you're with your family enjoying a nice warm hamburger with some french fries and a drink. Next moment, you're on your way to being taken. Let's stop for a second before I spoil too much. It was the late 1990s and I was in the 3rd grade. My family and I had gone on a road trip across the United States, and we were trying to see all the sights people dreamed of. Yellowstone National Park, Mount Rushmore, the Four Corners, you name it. It was a lot of fun, and we made a lot of stops along the way. One evening around 9-ish, we had stopped at a rest area in Wyoming. It was essentially in the middle of nowhere, and it was right off the highway. Anyways, I should mention really quickly before continuing, it was myself, my mom, and my dad. So we head into this McDonald's, and I tell my dad I wanted a Happy Meal. While he ordered, both myself and my mom take a seat, and we wait for him. It took about 3 minutes, and as we waited, I took a look around the store. There were 2 other families with some kids who were in the play area. I wanted to go play, but I waited for my food. Fast forward about 15 minutes, and once I'm done with my food, I walk over to the play area. In the meantime, my parents were talking. All is going well, and I remember the kids and I playing for about 20 minutes. Eventually they left, and it was just me. Pretty boring, and I almost considered leaving, but I stayed a bit longer to play on the Nintendo 64s they kept on display for the kids to use. As I'm playing Mario Kart, I couldn't help but notice an older man walk into the room, and he grabs one of the controllers. I would describe him as in his late 40s, slightly overweight, easily over 6 foot.
Hey there, kiddo. What are you playing? Mind if I join?
Naturally, my parents had taught me not to talk to strangers, so I did my best to ignore him, but he kept insisting.
Don't worry, I work here. We're slow at the moment, and I saw you were on your own. I figured I would join you.
He seemed friendly, and all he wanted to do was play video games, so I let him join me. After a few minutes, I remember him saying,
Hey, we got a lot more video games in the back. I'll tell you what, you can choose whichever game you want, and you could take it home. Come on, I know the owner. He wouldn't mind.
I was beyond excited. I could have the opportunity to get a free copy of any Nintendo 64 video game I wanted, but something about this seemed too good to be true. Try as he did, nothing was convincing me that he was a McDonald's employee. I mean, he didn't even have the uniform. That's why I was very cautious. Sadly, in my excitement, I'd forgotten stranger danger, and I agreed to follow him. So we start to make our way to the side door and we open it. But then, I ended up hearing my dad's voice. Honey, it's time to go. Where are you going? The man froze in place when he heard my dad's voice. But here's where it gets scary. The stranger grabs me, and he begins to run. I stood no chance as this guy was strong. My dad, like Superman, rushes toward myself and the stranger, and halfway through the parking lot, the creep decides it's better for him to let go. Otherwise, he would feel the full wrath of an angry father. Well, I pretty much go running back toward my dad crying as we watch the creep get into a pickup, and he drives away. My dad was angry that I had listened to a stranger, but that soon was followed by tears. I look back at it today, but if my kid was almost taken by someone, I would be crying too. After all, you hear about similar things like this happening, and a lot of times they don't turn out so well. Anyways, at this point, we talk to the manager, and we call the police. As expected, The stranger didn't work there, and sadly, when all was said and done, he got away, and we never saw him again. Story number 5, Midnight Robbery. Hi there, creepy fox. I'm a fan of yours from Mexico. A couple of things. 1, I enjoy the content. Keep up the great work. And 2, I've got a story to talk to you about going over my time in fast food. Since this was quite some time ago, any parts where I quote people will be based off my memory. With that said, let me give you some context. I'm male, and I was 19 years old. This was around the year 2000, in the city of Veracruz. I just started working at a McDonald's, starting off as a typical cashier. Eventually, I moved on to becoming a cook, then an assistant manager, but this will go over my time as a cashier. It was a random evening around midnight, and the store had been pretty slow. I was currently on my 15-minute break, and I stepped outside to get some fresh air. Trust me, when you work in fast food, you get used to the smell, but since I was new, it did get to me. While I sat there reading a book, I couldn't help but notice 3 men at the corner of our McDonald's. They were acting really suspiciously. I don't know how to best describe it, but something about them seemed strange. They were looking into the windows and were fiddling around with the back doors. At one point, I almost considered talking to them and seeing what was up, but I figured they were just bored. So once my break was over, I head back inside and joined my coworker who was refilling the soda fountain. About 2 minutes in, we hear 2 loud pops, followed by men shouting. We both turn around, and there are 3 men in ski masks with sidearms. They were now demanding we put our hands up, and we remain silent. We do as they say, while nothing but panic and fear began to fill our heads. Bear in mind, the store was empty of customers, and it was just myself and 4 other co-workers in total. One of them now speaks to us in Spanish, but I'll go ahead and write it out in English so you can understand.
Okay, listen up. This is a robbery. You're all going to listen to what we say, and if you don't, it's going to end badly, and we don't want that.
The one who spoke then gathers us into a back room, and he's telling us each to sit down and keep quiet. Meanwhile, we can hear the other 2 scrambling to open the cash registers. This goes on for about 30 seconds, and finally, we hear them shout,
Okay, we're all good. Let's get out of here.
The next moments were like something straight out of a nightmare. Before leaving, this masked man points his sidearm towards our group. As we begged him not to do it, he then points it above our heads. He starts firing towards the shelves, causing fresh produce to fall everywhere. He then leaves us. Meanwhile, we fear he might come back to finish the job, and we must have been in there for a solid 3 minutes, because none of us dared move. Finally, I had the courage to take a peek out the door, and I could see that the store was empty. So we ended up calling the police, and they show up about 30 minutes later. Talk about taking their time. While they arrived, we had to explain to some customers that had shown up that we were just robbed, and we couldn't help them at the moment. Sadly, we didn't have security cameras, which made identifying the 3 criminals that much more difficult. And even with my description I gave of the 3 I saw outside McDonald's, there wasn't any evidence that showed they could have been responsible, though thinking back now, it's obvious it was them. To this day, as far as I know, they were never caught, and they made off with about 19,000 pesos, or about 1,000 US dollars. Story number 6, Ace Up My Sleeve. Long-time listener here. I saw you needed a fast food story, and I got you covered with one of mine. About 2 years ago, I started working at a Popeyes. For reference, I'm not exactly the most intimidating girl in the world. I was 18, about 5'2", 105 pounds. This ended up happening during summer vacation, right before my first semester of college. Now, being one of 2 girls at the Popeyes, the guys actually accepted me like one of their own. I was like their little sister, and they took me under their wing. That's one positive I could say about my time with them. They were very family-based, and the nice thing is I'm still friends with them today. I'm only mentioning these sorts of things because anytime some weirdo tried to hit on me or make me feel uncomfortable, the boys would back me up. Okay, so this retelling is going to span a few days. Let's start with the first day. It was the mid-afternoon. It was myself and my other co-workers, and we're serving customers while having some laughs and listening to music. At one point, this homeless man steps into the store, and he wants to know if he could use the restroom. I had the unfortunate honor of telling him it was for paying customers only. This angers him a bit, but he takes out a couple of crumpled dollar bills, and he says he'll order a fountain drink. Fair enough. He then heads into the restroom before finally taking his seat at a table. I end up losing count, but I think he was there for easily over an hour. Then he finally leaves. Fast forward a couple of more days, and I'm working at night. Things are settling down, and it's just me and two other coworkers. One was in the back cooking, the other was out in the front with me. But around, I'd say, 9:30 p.m., a familiar face makes his way into the Popeyes. Remember the homeless man I talked to a few days prior? He was back. Again, he walks up to the front counter, and he orders himself a soft drink. I then gave him a cup, and he heads over to the soda fountain. After, I watch as he takes his seat at a table. But so far, things are okay. However, the creepy part was he wouldn't stop staring over at my coworker Travis and I. This was something I mentioned to Travis, but he ensures me nothing will happen, so I started to relax. Fast forward, 10 minutes of him at the table, and it was time for my break. But before going on break, I go to the soda fountain to grab some water. Here's where it would begin. As I stood there drinking water, the homeless man walks over to me and he wants to know if he could get some napkins. Aren't there already napkins in the dispensers?
I already checked. There weren't any. Could you get me some?
Obviously, I knew he was lying, but he kept insisting. So annoyed, I tell him to follow me, and I head toward the back storage room. Okay, wait for me here. I'll go in the back and get you some napkins. Just give me a minute. Here's when something alarming happens. While opening one of the cardboard boxes, I have my back turned toward the back door. Suddenly, I hear that door open, and guess who walks in? The homeless man. I then see as he takes out a knife, and he begins to maniacally approach me. I'm not sure if he was crazy or just delusional, because he must have planned this entire thing out. Very creepy, but I had one ace up my sleeve. But before I get to that, a quick question. How did you think I opened that cardboard box that was taped up? Well, I used a large kitchen knife, of course, but since I was standing in front of it, he had no idea the blade I had was way bigger than the one he was carrying. I grabbed this thing, and seeing it, the man freezes in place. Sorry, pal, I wasn't going to go down that easily. He pretty much does a 180, and he books it, and I follow him. My coworker Travis sees this silly chase, and he has a look of confusion. Now I'll save you the rest of the details, but after talking with police, they knew exactly who we were talking about, and they were able to finally arrest him. It turned out that he had quite a bit of warrants on him, and apparently he was well known for robbery. Story number 7. Skater Boy Needs Me. Last week I was playing Call of Duty with my friends, and it was around midnight. Everything was going well until my stomach started to growl, so I get up and head to the refrigerator, only to find it empty. Annoyed, I return back to my PlayStation, and I tell my friends I was going to go to Taco Bell to grab some food. Luckily for me, the Taco Bell is only a 10-minute drive from my house, so I got there pretty quickly. Unfortunately, this Taco Bell doesn't have a drive-thru, which means I had to take my sorry butt into the store and order in person. Now, just to quickly mention, the store was empty apart from one man who sat at the very back corner. He looked pretty normal, typical skater guy with beat-up clothing, long greasy brown hair, and a beanie. I only noticed him because he had gotten up to refill his drink. Don't forget him. After deciding what I wanted, I ordered a couple of steak quesaritos and a medium drink, and once I paid, the cashier hands me a cup, and I head over to the soda fountain to grab some delicious Mountain Dew. Thus, I wait for the next 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, I feel a tap on my shoulder. It's the skater guy.
Excuse me, miss, but you wouldn't happen to have the time, would you?
I do, but don't you have a phone? I take out my phone anyways, and I told them it was 12:27 in the morning.
Oh, thank you very much. By the way, I saw you enter. Here, have my phone number. Feel free to call me anytime you want. I'm actually with a talent agency. Easy money if you're interested.
I take the napkin and stuff it in my pocket, where I would later throw it out. Sadly, in me taking the napkin, it acted, at least in his eyes, as an invitation to begin a conversation.
I should introduce myself. My name is Jeremy. What's your name?
I gave him a made-up name, and then he begins with even more questions.
Do you live around here? How old are you? Are you seeing anyone?
I gave him some pretty generic answers, not trying to be rude, and thankfully they called my order. Sweet. Time to get out of here. Thank you. Could I go ahead and get some extra medium hot sauce, please? Once I've gotten my sauce, I begin to walk out of the store. But that's not without Mr. Skater Boy following suit.
Wait, hold on. Don't leave just yet.
I'm sorry, but I have to get going. You have yourself a nice evening.
You dropped your wallet. Here, I'm just returning it to you.
I actually fell for it, and I stop in place as he begins to get closer, and what he does next, I won't forget. Instead of handing me this so-called wallet, he grabs me. Then he begins whispering all these things he wanted to do. Way to be so formal there, buddy. I'm able to get out of his grasp, and I take off running. He does the same.
Come back, baby. We can be so perfect. Just give me a chance.
No way. I unlock my car with the keys and hop in. But while stumbling to put the key in the ignition, he begins knocking my window, apologizing, and begging I let him in.
Can you please open the door? I'm sorry. I just got really excited to see you.
I give him the bird, and I actually ended up going over his foot. I didn't feel bad. I returned home, where I had quite a story to tell my PlayStation friends. Now, I guess I made the mistake of not telling anyone other than my online friends, but I'm not planning on going to that part of the city anytime soon, especially that late. Before we get to the last story, I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching. Just remember, if you'd like to see more, including sneak peeks and previews, then make sure to be following my Instagram, @TheCreepyFoxOfficial. Also, make sure to check out my brand new merchandise. You can either check it out underneath the video player right now, or you can find it in the link in the description below. But just know by checking it out, you're helping me out a lot. But with that said, let's get on to the last story, because it's a pretty good one. Story number 8. My experiences in fast food. Hey there, friends. I'm currently working at Subway, and let me just say, I couldn't be any more happier. It's nice because I don't have to worry about terrible hours, people, or an environment that makes you regret showing up to work. I'm mentioning these things because I want to take you back to a time when I was working at a McDonald's where I would learn that not every customer is a happy one. Now, in this retelling, I'll be going over more than one experience, so you get more than what you bargained for. With that said, allow me to take you back to the year 2009. I was a young 18-year-old teenager, and I had gotten a job working for a local McDonald's. For quick mention, a lot of friends and family tell me I look younger while I tend to behave older. A lot of times this ended up attracting some interesting people, as I will soon explain. Moving on. I'm the sort of person who can't just be in one spot the whole shift. I'll go crazy with boredom. Thus, on this one evening, I started to refill the drink lids. Now, I'm usually pretty good with my senses, and I know if someone might be near me or staring. That's why I was surprised when I feel someone slip a business card under my arm on the drink station counter. Naturally, I was confused, so I turn around, and it's this older 40-something-year-old dude that I had just helped at the front counter. Something about the business card was different, however. It wasn't the professional kind that you might get at a job interview or a business meeting. This thing had information that was scratched out, and it was replaced with his home and cell phone numbers. My first thought was, wow, seriously, dude? That's not happening. I pretty much threw that business card in the trash, and that was the end of that. That was just one of the creepy experiences. Another time, this giant of a man, easily over 6 feet tall, came up to me and was speaking gibberish. Not sure what the issue was, but when I leaned over to hear him better, he reached for my neck and he almost broke it. I wish I was joking. It was really scary, and my spine did finally crack back into place 3 nights later while sleeping. The last encounter I want to cover was with this overweight security guard. He was actually a regular to the store, and I had seen him time to time. This one evening, he had gone through the drive-thru about 3 times. As it turned out, he ended up calling the store, leaving all these compliments about me. But the thing is, these so-called compliments were a lot creepier than what you would expect. I never heard the messages, mind you, since we never answered the phone, but he did leave voicemails. He wanted my phone number, and he even included his own. Then he went to describe some very disturbing details on what he wanted to do with me. So that was it. Eventually, I quit and I moved on, getting employed at a Subway, like I mentioned in my intro. I'm just glad that I'm away from that mess. Hello there, friends. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Story Time. But tell me, which story was your favorite? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Also, if this is the first time you've ever joined us on our Scary Story series, then make sure to click that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. One thing you'll enjoy is my channel features stories you're not going to find anywhere else. That's because I rely on all of you, those who send in stories. So make sure you haven't sent them to anybody else or even posted it online. That way we can keep everything exclusive. So, if you've been staying till the end of the previous videos, then chances are you've joined me for a new segment I like to call Comments with Creepy. It's the fun little thing we do where I go over comments you left on the previous video. Since I uploaded the pizza delivery stories, I thought we could go ahead and spend some time seeing what you all left me. So let's begin. Lisa here says, "Once a week would be great. This is Foxy, and I hope you have a great vacation. Are you going with your family? Just have lots of fun." So in case you're wondering what she's talking about, in the previous video, I was telling everybody, well, I've been telling you all for quite some time, but at the end of October, so we're looking for 2 weeks, it's October 31st to November 12th, I'm going to be going on vacation to Mexico. To answer your question, yes, I'm going with my family. We're going to be going to Puerto Vallarta, and we're also going to be going to Colima. They're in neighboring states. It's going to be a lot of fun. But anyways, what I was trying to say was I was wanting to know whether you wanted to see 2 things. Option 1, I could go ahead and continue to do 2 uploads a week for the month of October, kind of like what you've been seeing in September. But the only thing is you wouldn't get 2 videos for the weeks I'd be gone because, I have no way of working on video. That's why I would go ahead and maybe choose option 2, which is the one a lot of you kind of wanted me to do. It was go ahead and just do 1 upload a week for the month of October, and those second videos that would go up those weeks, go ahead and reserve them for those 2 weeks I would be gone. That way you have something to listen to, because I don't want to go cold turkey and, give you all these videos, then all of a sudden I disappear, and then you're like, oh, what happened? Where'd he go? So yeah, we're going to end up going with that. Wow, that was a long response. Let's go on to the next comment. Now I want pizza. But I think I'll try carryout. Great video. Yeah, carryout is always pretty good. Obviously it's a lot cheaper if you actually carry out and go to get the pizza. It's not much. You might save like about $6 or $8, but hey, you can use those $6 or $8 to get more wings if they have wings there, or pasta, or soda, or maybe another pizza. Who knows? Next comment we have from Alex. Thank you for all your hard work getting us the best and unique content. Thank you, Alex. As you saw, this week we did pizza stories, and as you saw today also, we ended up doing fast food stories. So I'm trying to do a good variety. I don't want to just do the same topics over and over again. It works for some people, but it's just for me, it gets boring. If I'm just doing the same sorts of topics all the time, I'm just like, ugh, I gotta do this one again. And don't get me wrong, the stories are cool, but I like to make things unique and have something different for you to listen to each and every time. This one comes from Mouse Man. I wanted pizza for dinner. Now this comes on? Still want pizza. Hey, can't go wrong with some pizza, right? This one comes from Joe. Nobody. Me. Pizza time. Here we have Reese. That's really creepy. I just ordered pizza 3 hours ago. Ooh, I read your mind. To be fair, come on. Pizza. Let's move on to Lynn. I've been so busy lately that I've been late to your last few postings. But have no fear. I will always watch and like when I get the chance. My daughter and I like to listen to your videos on the weekends when we're lounging around. She especially likes foxes. Her channel name is Fish and Fox. And also your narration. Thank you for another great video. Well, shout out to your daughter's channel then. And thank you for both being fans. I really appreciate that. And hey, can't go wrong with some Saturday morning creepy fox. This one says, Taco Bell time, LOL. Oh, well, actually, I like Taco Bell. I was actually there a couple nights ago when I got off of work from Disneyland. Can't go wrong with those steak quesaritos, am I right? They're awesome. Next one. It's super scary to think something as mundane as ordering pizza could end up a traumatic event. I look forward to your Halloween and paranormal stories. I love those genres. They are some of my favorite. Your channel's awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, we're planning on doing some Halloween and paranormal stories. Probably do the paranormal stories maybe 2 weeks from now. And I'll maybe do the Halloween stories towards the end of the month. But as for that, yeah, isn't it crazy how you can just go order a pizza, get in your car, go knock on the door, and the next thing you know, bam, you're in trouble. Let's go on to the next one. Good evening, Creepy Fox from England. Could I order one vegan pizza and a side salad? Hold the stalker. Love your videos. Well, thank you. Well, you get a discount because you're a subscriber of mine, and I'll definitely make sure to keep those mean stalkers out of the way. Here's our last comment, and I like this one because it's sort of a bonus story. It's from Calthrow. Here's something short and kind of funny, but scary. I used to do kendo, and I forgot my shinai, the bamboo sword we use in the car. When my husband went to work delivering pizza, one of his stops, outside an apartment, 2 guys came out of the dark as he was leaning into the back. They pulled knives and told him to give him his money. He said he needed to get the cash and leaned up like he was going to get it. But he used the other hand to grab the sword and turned like he was ready for a fight. They took one look at the sword and they decided, that's not happening, we're running away. So we assumed that they thought he knew how to use it. He now keeps it back there whenever I'm not using the sword. Well, smart choice. It's always good to make sure you have something because you never know. You could be going and delivering pizzas and next thing you know, these guys are trying to get you. But when you take out a sword, chances are they don't stand a chance. Actually, I lied. Here's a bonus comment. This makes me hungry. I agree. Okay, so that was just a small sample of what you all had to say. Remember, if you'd like to be on Comments with Creepy, then make sure to leave a comment. I'd love to feature you next time. Now let's move on to question time. And today's question is this. To go with today's theme, I have to know, what's your favorite fast food restaurant? Though I don't like to go out to eat too much, I would say Panda Express is on my top 5. Anyways, this has been the Creepy Fox. You've been listening to Scary Stories. I'll talk to you all next time. Take care, and have an amazing day.